Next one. So 8.3, Event Strategy Framework. Members of the committee, any questions with respect to item 8.3? Moved by Councillor Jackson. Second by Councillor Pearson. Questions? All in favor? Carried. Oops. Just in time, Councillor. Councillor Ferguson.
I was listening back there, and the members of the audience, we can hear what's going on in the Councillors' Lounge. My question is to Anna. Anna, I've read this report, and we've had extensive discussions at the Grants Committee about making it easier to understand or to apply for grants for festival and events of the city. You've done a great job with your staff of making it simpler and easier for volunteers to make applications to seat. When I read this document, though, I'm trying to get my head around something definitive that you're changing, and I can't find it. So my question to you is, how will this affect the volunteers of these festivals that have to fill out the seat application and put it in for the grants? What are they going to see that's different?
Through the chair, sorry, we have a few experts on this. I'm going to put that question over to my colleague, Jennifer Kay, who is the manager of events, and she'll explain what will happen there. The one thing I do want to stress, though, is that the SEAT process, which is the Special Events Advisory Team that looks at applications, is separate from CPP, which is the Community Partnership Program, which is the body that gives out grants. So they are completely separate.
Through the chair. This report puts forward an event strategy framework, which is asking council to give a high-level direction to staff so that we can then go away with that direction and work cross-corporately to look at our event processes, our event needs, to look at our event clients, and to be able to recommend a strategy that is going to address some of the concerns that you have brought forward. So we continue to work on them, outside of the parameters of the event strategy work. But what's being put forward today is basically asking council to confirm that, yes, you want Hamilton to be seen or to be an events-friendly city, and then giving staff in the Tourism and Culture Division the direction to consult with our colleagues throughout the corporation to come back to you and say, this is what that looks like.
Here's what I want to avoid too, Mr. Chairman, to Jennifer. I want to avoid a situation where you suddenly notify all the organizers of Santa Claus parades, we're not going to grant you anymore because based on the council resolution that was passed April 16th. I want to make sure that if you're going to make any changes to any of our events, they will come back to us, first of all. Second of all, I don't want you, are you going to make this more difficult for volunteers who are trying to use their evenings and weekends to help the community to put applications in? Is this going to impact them at all and make it more difficult for them?
Through the chair, we will definitely come back with any proposed changes. And the intent of this is to make things easier for everybody involved with events to do what they want to do.
That's great, Jennifer. Thank you. My last question is, we've had considerable discussion of grants, and Councillor Powers can probably speak to this far more capably than I can. But there's lots of issues around how do you get a grant from the city? Do you go through CPP? Do you go through boards and agencies? Or in some cases, you come directly to council. And some people are saying, hey, there's some unfairness there. They're treated different, we're treated, and so on. We've instructed John Hertel to go off and come back to us with a recommendation how to deal with the arts and how to deal with the festivals. And then you've got the boards and agencies who are legislated, like police and conservation authorities. So why are we doing this independently of that? Why don't we come back one package so we can understand it, get our head around it, and say this is our new direction?
Through the chair, we are not doing this independently of the work that John Hertel is doing with the CPP review. We're working very closely with him, and we'll ensure that the recommendations of one are complementary with the other. The CPP review, of course, includes more than the special events stream, but special event staff will be working very closely to ensure that there's a good alignment.
So clearly then the question is, there's no staff implications, no financial implications, no change to the volunteers. It's just an internal thing of how we make it better. Why are you coming to us today? That's just an internal thing, isn't it? That just makes us suspicious that, they got something buried on page 123 that's going to come back to bite us. So why do you have to come to us? Is it just an internal thing?
Through the chair, it's what we're looking for is council's direction that yes, this is the direction that we want to go, and we want all of the staff corporately who are involved with events to be working towards that goal. Right now, I think, and the report points this out, that there is a lack of there's confusion and I would say a lack of cohesion in terms of some of the decisions that are currently being made about events corporately. So this is really just asking council to be clear about what they want, to give staff the direction to go forward and make it so, coming back to council for approval.
So if I raise my hand and support this, I'm saying I support festivals and events in our community, and I support it making it as easy as possible for our volunteers. That's what I'm saying. Is that interpretation correct?
Through the chair, I would say yes, that's totally correct.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Ferguson. Councillor Powers?
Very clearly, we don't need to have a number one-off. So I think the point raised by Councillor Ferguson is your review needs to be parallel with what's going with regards to the funding envelopes that are being provided to, I'm going to call it the 5 silos that are out there right now. An issue raised by Councillor Farr with his passion for the arts community, and a decision we made to kind of set aside that dollar enhancement until the complete review has taken place. I know Councillor Morrill has a passion for providing additional funding for not only the arts and the culture community. So I think we need to be insistent that the review needs to be parallel and the recommendations need to come in as complementary, or if they're not complementary, be part of the decision that we made for the, I'm going to call it the funding stream that's going to come out of that report that Mr. Hertel is going to bring back to us by the end of June, because our intentions are, as if indeed there is council buy-in, committee and council buy-in at that time, is it will be in place to take effect on January the 1st of 2015. So it will be under the purview of the new council. There will be new direction for our community with regards to how this city appropriately funds the various elements within our particular community. So I'm somewhat insistent that that needs to be there at the same time. I don't think we have any interest in dealing with the kind of the one-offs. We've been too long dealing with the one-offs, and it's time that we came together with the strategy, and certainly it needs to be complementary to, I'm going to call it the end product that we buy into. So I don't know whether there's any comments. Maybe it's me just blabbering on.
Anna?
Through the chair, yes, I could make a comment to that. Really, the point of this is to get Hamilton in a place where it is an events-friendly city, and the funding part of that is one prong of getting there, and it definitely has to be all aligned and done at the same time, or if it's a stool and it's a leg of a stool, if we don't have that in there aligning with it, it's going to fall over. So definitely that is part of the process, and we're very pleased that we're working with John Hertel through the whole process on the funding arm. This particular framework that we're talking about also contains other legs of the stool to make sure that we can get to that events-friendly city.
So my supplementary is very clearly is the direction of Mr. Hertel and staff are working towards, as you know, because you're part of it, is the funding component. But where there are logistics, in order to improve the logistics and make it easier for groups who want to volunteer their efforts to invite people to come to this community and put on events that benefit the community, that's something you need to do procedurally in that. But the funding component, where the funding component of this direction needs to be part of that report that comes back in June.
Thank you, Councillor Powers. And before I go to Councillor Farr, I'm going to put a call out so we can get some colleagues here around the table because we don't have quorum to move along. So hopefully they hear us and they make their way here. So, Councillor Farr.
Yeah, very briefly, I'm going to pull up another stool, and that's the stool of sustainability. And obviously, one of the four legs there is culture, as identified, I believe, unanimously by this term of council in our cultural plan that we passed. And as the report indicates, and I think this is very important for the public record, this is action 10.2 in that council-approved cultural plan, where we are going after an event strategy framework. And it's actually one of the first actions to be brought forward from the recently council-approved cultural plan, which positions culture as a key tool for city building. So I think that's important to get that on record here today, and I very much support these recommendations. Appreciate the comments being heard and the synergies that we need to recognize as it relates to what the work we're already doing going forward with our review and the work of John and Anna and all the rest involved in that extensive project. And that includes some members of the arts and culture community who've been meeting regularly with staff going forward on that important initiative. So kudos to staff for starting work early on making certain we recognize and create some action items out of that very important cultural plan as that relates to the four legs of the stool of sustainability for the city of Hamilton. I was trying to stretch it, Mr. Chairman, to get one more committee member in here so we can move this recommendation, but as good as it gets.
Thank you, Councillor Farr. Councillor Ferguson, see if you can round somebody up. Okay, recommendations moved by Councillor Farr, second by Councillor Ferguson. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay.